Davidson challenge. And so pretty much that what it is that he said that he was gonna, in order to be a millionaire, this is what it says on the reel, that you have to go ahead and read for the next 2 years, read books from sales, negotiation, human nature, and money. So I already pretty much made a video. I'm gonna be posting these videos. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna read for 2 hours of reading each book on each category. So pretty much that's exactly what we're going to do. Give me a second. So right now we are tracking time. Someone liked the live. What's good? So we're tracking time right now. So 2:30. It's 3:01. Reading live. Okay. 30 minutes. So, let's just start it. So right now we're reading the first book. It's for sales. And the book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm already on principle 1. And so we're just gonna keep on reading until the 2 hours is done. So I got like an hour left, probably like 55 minutes left. So I'm gonna be 55 minutes on live reading with you guys. It's not gonna always be on live, but my phone with the memory doesn't take all of it. So some videos are gonna be me reading, and then some of it's gonna be on live. But no matter what, we're doing the Patrick Bet Davidson challenge for 2 years. We're gonna read these books. We're gonna see what happens. So with that being said, let's go. So I want to read this part. It was pretty impactful. Instead of condemning people, let's try to understand them. Let's try to figure out why they do what they do. That's a lot more profitable and intriguing than criticism. And it breeds sympathy, tolerance, and kindness. To know all is to forgive all. As Dr. Johnson said, God himself, sir, does not propose to judge men unto the end of his days. Why should you and I? Principle 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. The big secret of dealing with people. There's only one way under high heaven to get anybody to do anything. Did you ever stop to think of that? Yes, just one way. And that is by making the other person want to do it. Remember, there is no other way. Of course, you can make someone want to give you his watch by sticking a revolver in his ribs. You can make your employers give you a corporation until your back is turned by threatening to fire them. You can make a child do what you want to do by a whip or a threat. But these crude methods have sharply undesirable repercussions. The only way I can get you to do anything is by giving you what you want. What do you want? Sigmund Freud said that everything you and I do springs from two motives, the sex urge and the desire to be great. John Dewey, one of America's most profound philosophers, phrased it a bit differently. Dr. Dewey said that the deepest urge in human nature is the desire to be important. Remember that phrase, the desire to be important. It is significant. You're going to hear a lot about it in this book. What do you want? Not many things, but the few things that you do wish. You crave with an insistence that it would not be denied. Some things most people want include 1. Health and the preservation of life. 2. Food. 3. Sleep. 4. Money and the other things money will buy. 5. Life in the hereafter. 6. Sexual gratification and the well-being of our children. 8. A feeling of importance. Almost all these wants are usually gratified, all except one. But there's one longing, almost as deep, almost as imperious as the desire for food or sleep, which is seldom gratified. It is what Freud calls the desire to be great. It is what Dewey calls the desire to be important. Lincoln once began a letter saying, "Everybody likes a compliment." William James said the deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. He didn't speak mind you, of the wish or the desire or the longing to be appreciated. He said the craving to be appreciated. Here is a gnawing and unfaltering human hunger, and the rare individual who honestly satisfies this heart hunger will hold people in the palm of his or her hand, and even the undertaker will be sorry when he dies. The desire for a feeling of importance is one of the chief distinguishing differences between mankind and the animals. To illustrate, when I was a farm boy out in Missouri, my father bred fine Duroc Jersey hogs and pedigreed white-faced cattle. He used to exhibit our hogs and white-faced cattle at the country fairs and livestock shows throughout the Middle West. He won first prizes by the score. My father pinned his blue ribbons on a sheet of white muslin, and when friends or visitors came to my house, he would get out of the long sheet of muslin, he would hold one end and I would hold the other while he exhibited the blue ribbons. The hogs didn't care about the ribbons they had won, but father did. These prizes gave him a feeling of importance. If our ancestors hadn't had this flaming urge for a feeling of importance, civilization would have been impossible. Without it, we should have been just about like animals. It was this desire for a feeling of importance that led an uneducated, poverty-stricken grocery clerk to study some law books he found in the bottom of a barrel of household plunder that he brought for 50 cents. You have probably heard of the grocery clerk. His name was Lincoln. If it was a desire for a feeling of importance that inspired Dickens to write his immortal novels. This desire inspired Sir Christopher Wren to design his symphonies in stone. This desire made Rockefeller amass millions that he never spent. And this same desire made the richest family in your town build a house far too large for its requirements. The desire makes you want to wear the latest styles, drive the latest cars, and talk about your brilliant children. It is this desire that lures many boys and girls into joining gangs and engaging in criminal activities. The average of young criminal, according to E.P. Mulrooney, one-time police commissioner of New York, is filled with ego, and his first request after arrest is for those lurid newspapers that make him out of a hero. The disagreeable prospect of serving time seems remote so long as he gloat over his likeness, sharing space with pictures of sport figures, movie and TV stars, and politicians. If you tell me how you get your feeling of importance, I'll tell you what you are. That determines your character. That is the most significant thing about you. For an example, John D. Rockefeller got his feeling of importance by giving money to erect a modern hospital in Peking, China, to care for millions of poor people whom he had never seen and never would see. Dillinger, on the other hand, got his feeling of importance by being a bandit, a bank robber and killer, where the FBI agents were hunting him. He dashed into a farmhouse up in Minnesota and said, "I am Dillinger. I'm Dillinger." He was proud of the fact that he was a public enemy number one. "I'm not going to hurt you, but I'm Dillinger," he said. Yes, the one significant difference between Dillinger and Rockefeller is how they got their feeling of importance. History sparkles with amusing examples of famous people struggling for a feeling of importance. Even George Washington wanted to be called His Mightiness the President of the United States, and Columbus pleaded for the title Admiral of the Ocean of Viceroy of India. Catherine the Great refused to open letters that were not addressed to her Imperial Majesty, and Miss Lincoln in the White House turned upon Miss Grant like Tigris and shouted, "How dare you be seated in my presence until I invite you?" Our millionaires helped finance Admiral Byrd's expedition to the Antarctica in 1928 with the understanding that ranges of icy mountains would be named after them, and Victor Hugo is inspired to have nothing less than the city of Paris renamed in his honor. Even Shakespeare, mightiest of the mightiest, tried to add luster to his name by procuring a coat of arms for his family. People sometimes become invalids in order to win sympathy and attention and get a feeling of importance. For example, take Miss McKinley. She got a feeling of importance by forcing her husband, the President of the United States, to neglect important affairs of state while he reclined of the bed beside her for hours at a time, his arm about her, soothing her to sleep. She fed her gnawing desire for attention by insisting that he remain with her while she was having her teeth fixed, and once created a stormy scene when he had to leave her alone with the dentist while he kept an appointment with John Hay, his Secretary of State. The writer Mary Roberts Rinehart once told me of a bright, vigorous importance. One day, said Miss Rinehart, this woman had been obliged to face something, her age perhaps. The lonely years were stretching ahead, and there was a little left for her to anticipate. She took to her bed, and for 10 years her old mother traveled to the third floor and back, carrying trays, nursing her. Then one day the old mother, weary with service, lay down and died. For some weeks the invalid languished. Then she got up, put on her clothing, and resumed living again. Some authorities declared put on her clothing and resumed living again. Fine in the dreamland of insanity, the feeling of importance that has been denied them in the harsh world of reality. There are more patients suffering from mental diseases in the United States than from all other diseases combined. Okay, I'm gonna drink some water before we continue. Let's look what y'all said. Chup March fraud. What? Okay, Job. What am I reading? What am I reading is How to Win Friends and Influence People in Tech. No. What do you mean saying no? Okay. We're going to continue. Just give me a second. So, before we continue, we're reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. It is by the challenge of Patrick Bay Davidson. He said, if you read all these books and these different topics, you can become a millionaire. It takes like 2 years. And so, like, we're going to see. So, let's continue. People sometimes become invalids in order to win sympathy and attention and get a feeling of importance. For example, take Miss McKinley. She got a feeling of importance by forcing her husband, the President of the United States, to neglect important affairs of state while he reclined on the bed beside her for hours at a time, his arm about her, soothing her to sleep. She fed her gnawing desire for attention by insisting that he remain with her while she was having her teeth fixed, and once created a stormy scene when he had to leave her alone with the dentist while he kept an appointment with John Hay, his Secretary of State. The writer Mary Robbins Rinehart once told me of a bright, vigorous young woman who became an invalid in order to get a feeling of importance. One day, said Miss Rinehart, this woman had been obliged to face something, her age perhaps. The lonely years were stretching ahead, and there was little left for her to anticipate. She took to her bed, and for 10 years her old mother traveled to the third floor and back, carrying trays and nursing her. Then one day the old mother, weary with service, lay down and died. For some weeks the invalid languished, and then she got up, put on her clothing, and resumed living again. Some authorities declare that people may actually go insane in order to find in the dreamland of insanity the feeling of importance that has been denied them in the harsh world of reality. There are more patients suffering from mental diseases in the United States than from all other diseases combined. What is the cause of insanity? Nobody can answer such a sweeping question, but we know that certain diseases such as syphilis break down and destroy the brain cells and result in insanity. In fact, about one half of all mental diseases can be attributed to such physical causes such as brain lesions, alcohol, toxins, and injuries. But the other half, and this is the appealing part of the story, the other half of the people who go insane apparently have nothing organically wrong with their brain cells. In most mortem examinations, when their brain tissues are studied under the highest powered microscopes, these tissues are found to be apparently just as healthy as yours and mine. Why do these people go insane? I put that question to the head physician in one of the most important psychiatric hospitals. This doctor, who had received the highest honors and the most coveted awards for his knowledge of the subject, told me frankly that he didn't know why people went insane. Nobody knows for sure, but he did say that many people who go insane find in insanity a feeling of importance that they were unable to achieve in the world of reality. Then he told me this story. I have a patient right now whose marriage proved to be tragedy. She wanted love, sexual gratification, children, and social prestige, but life blasted all her hopes. Her husband didn't love her. He refused even to eat with her and forced her to serve his meals in his room upstairs. She had no children, no social standing. She went insane. And in her imagination, she divorced her husband and resumed her maiden name. She now believes she has married into English aristocracy, and she insists on being called Lady Smith. And as for children, she imagines now that she has had a new child every night. Each time I call on her, she says, "Doctor, I had a baby last night." Life once wrecked all her dream ships on the sharp rocks of reality, but in the sunny fantasy isles of insanity, all her bark entities race into port with canvas billowing and winds wingling through the mass. Tragic. Oh, I don't know. Her physician said to me, if I could stretch out my hand and restore her sanity, I wouldn't do it. She's much happier as she is. If some people are so hungry for a feeling of importance, then they actually go insane to get it. Imagine what a miracle you and I can achieve by giving people honest appreciation this side of insanity. One of the first people in American business to be paid a salary of over $1 million a year when there was no income tax and a person earning $15 a week was considered well off was Charles Schwab. He had been picked by Andrew Carnegie to become the first president of the newly formed United States Steel Company in 1921. When Schwab was only 38 years old, Schwab later left U.S. Steel to take over the then troubled Bethlehem Steel Company, and he rebuilt it one of the most profitable companies in America. Why did Andrew Carnegie pay $1 million a year, or more than $3,000 a day to Charles Schwab? Why? Because Schwab was a genius? No. Because he knew more about the manufacture of steel than other people? Nonsense. Charles Schwab told me himself that he had many men working with him who knew about the manufacture of steel than he did. Schwab says that he has paid this salary largely because of his ability to deal with people. I asked him how he did it. Here's a secret set down in his own words. Words that ought to be cast in eternal bras and hung in every home and school, every shop and office in the land. Words that children ought to memorize instead of wasting their time memorizing the conjunction of Latin verbs to the amount of the annual rainfall in Brazil. Words that will all but transform your life and mine if we only live them. I consider my ability to arouse enthusiasm among my people, said Schwab, the greatest asset I possess, and the way to develop the best that is a person is by appreciation and encouragement. There is nothing else that so kills the ambitions of a person as criticism from superiors. I never criticize anyone. I believe in giving a person incentive to work, so I'm anxious to praise but loath to find fault. If I like anything, I'm hearty in my approbation and lavish in my praise. This is what Schwab did. But what do average people do? The exact opposite. If they don't like a thing, they bawl out their subordinates. If they do like it, they say nothing. As the old couplet says, once I did bad, and that I heard ever, twice I wait. As the old couplet said, once I did bad, and that I heard ever, twice I did good, but that I heard never. In my wide association in life, meeting with many and great people in various parts of the world, Schwab declared, I have yet to find the person, however great for exalted the station, who did not do better work and put forth greater effort under a spirit of approval than he would ever do under a spirit of criticism. That, he said frankly, was one of the outstanding reasons for the phenomenal success of Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie praised his associates publicly as well as privately. Carnegie wanted to praise his assistants even on his tombstone. He wrote an emptha for himself, which read, "Here lies one who knew how to get around him. Wait. Here lies one who knew how to get around him, who were cleverer than himself." Sincere appreciation was one of the secrets of the first John D. Rockefeller's success in handling men. For an example, when one of his partners, Edward T. Bedford, lost $1 million for the firm by a bad buy in South America, John D. might have criticized, but he knew Bedford had done his best, and the incident was closed. So Rockefeller found something to praise. He congratulated Bedford because he had been able to save 60% of the money he had invested. "That's splendid," said Rockefeller. We don't always do as well as that upstairs. I have among my clippings a story that I know never happened, but it illustrates the truth, so I'll repeat it. According to the silly story, a farm woman at the end of a heavy day work sent before her men folks a heaping pile of hay, and when they indignantly demanded whether she had gone crazy, she replied, "Why? How did I know you noticed? I've been cooking for you men for the last 20 years, and all that time I ain't heard no word to let me know you wasn't just eating hay." When a study was made a few years ago on runaway wives, what do you think was discovered to be the main reason wives ran away? It was a lack of appreciation. I bet that a similar study made of a runaway husband would come out the same way. We often take our spouses so much for granted that we never let them know we appreciate them. A member of one of our classes told of a request made by his wife. She and a group of other women in her church were involved in a self-improvement program. She asked her husband to help her by listing 6 things he believed she would do and help her become a better wife. He reported to the class, "I was surprised by such a request. Frankly, it would have been easy for me to list 6 things I would like to change about her. My heavens, she could have listed 1,000 things she would like to change about me, but I didn't. I said to her, 'Let me think about it and give you an answer in the morning.' The next morning, I got up very early and called the florist and had them send 6 red roses to my wife with a note saying, 'I can't think of 6 things I would like to change about you. I love you the way you are.' When I arrived at home that evening, who do you think greeted me at the door? That's right, my wife. She was almost in tears. Needless to say, I was extremely glad I had not criticized her as she had requested. The following Sunday at church, after she had reported the results of her assignment, several women with whom she had been studying came up to me and said, 'That was the most considerate thing I've ever heard.' It was then I realized the power of appreciation. Florence Zingfield, the most spectacular producer who ever dazzled Broadway, gained his reputation by his subtle ability to glorify the American girl. Time after time, he took drab little creatures that no one ever looked at twice and transformed them on the stage into glamorous visions of mystery and seduction. Alright, so before we continue, we're going to do a 30-minute... I put a 30-minute timer, and I write down what I did in those 30 minutes. We're learning to be able to master time. Okay. So 301. Wait. A second. Alright, okay. So actually I have to do my affirmations. So let's do my affirmations. So allow yourself to feel what you're feeling in this moment. Could you let it go? Would you let it go? When would you let it go? Who am I? To whom does this thought come to? Who am I? I am living my dream life. I believe I am royalty. I am royalty. I believe I'm the fucking man. Nobody's gonna save me ever. I'm pissed off. My life is not the way I want it to be. I believe I can achieve anything. I am a billionaire. I believe I am a billionaire. I'm the most powerful in the world. I believe I'm the most powerful in the world. I focus on my center and my core. All the rules in the existence are my rules. What it is what it is. There cannot be any other way. I am responsible for everything. I'm not the body or mind. I'm a mother to the world. I'm the best and biggest YouTuber in the world. I trust myself completely. I trust God completely. I am in control. I am the creator of... Let me see. I am the creator of Dream Life Forge. I show up no matter what. I'm becoming the kind of person who earns 100K a month by serving, leading, and staying consistent. I build discipline, faith, and systems that guarantee success. I have full control of myself. Nothing outside or inside can move me without my choice. I do what must be done no matter how I feel. I do what's right and needed moment to moment no matter how I feel. Was good. So I'm reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm doing the challenge of Patrick Bet Davidson. Pretty much just reading the topics. Um, Sales, negotiation, human nature, and money. So in sales, I'm reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. So that's what I'm reading right now. I have a timer for 2 hours of me reading this book. And he said for 2 years, read these books, and it can get you to $1 million, or at least that's what it says on the reel. But either way, we're gonna try it out, and so let's get to it. Um, where am I at? Okay. Knowing the value of appreciation and confidence, he made women feel beautiful by the sheer power of his gallantry and consideration. He was practical. He raised the salary of chorus girls from $30 a week to as high as 175, and he also has chivalrous on opening night on the Follies. He sent telegram to the stars in the cast and deluged every chorus girl in the show with American Beauty roses. I once succumbed to the fad of fasting and went for 6 days and nights without eating. It wasn't difficult. I was less hungry at the end of the sixth day when I was at the end of the second. Yet I know, as you know, people who would think that they had committed a crime if they let their families or employees go for 6 days without food, but they will let them go for 6 days and 6 weeks and sometimes 60 years without giving them the hearty appreciation that they crave almost as much as they crave food. When Alfred Lunt, one of the great actors of this time, played the leading role in Reunion and Venend, he said, "There is nothing I need so much as nourishment for my self-esteem." We nourish the bodies of our children and friends and employees, but how seldom do we nourish their self-esteem? We provide them with roast beef and potatoes to build energy, but we neglect to give them kind words of appreciation that would sing in their memories for years like the music of the morning stars. Paul Harvey is one of his radio broadcasts. The rest of the story told him showing sincere appreciation can change a person's life. He reported that years ago, a teacher in Detroit asking Steve Morris to help her find a mouse that was lost in the classroom. You see, she appreciated the fact that nature has given Stevie something no one else in the room had. Nature had given Stevie a remarkable pair of ears to compensate for his blind eyes, but this was really the first time Stevie has been shown appreciation for those talented ears. Now, years later, he says that the act of appreciation was the beginning of a new life. You see, from that time on, he developed the gift of hearing and went on to become, under the stage name of Stevie Wonder, one of the great pop singers and songwriters of the 70s. Some readers are saying right now as they read these lines, "Oh, phony, flattery, bear oil. I tried that stuff. It doesn't work. Not with intelligent people." Of course, flattery seldom works with discerning people. It is shallow, selfish, and insincere. It is out to fail and usually does. True, some people are so hungry, so thirsty for appreciation that they will swallow anything, just as a starving man would eat grass and fish worms. Even Queen Victoria was skeptical in flattery, Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli confessed that he put it on the thick in dealing with the Queen. To use his exact words, he said he spread it on the towel. But Disraeli was one of the most polished, deft, and adroit men who have ever ruled the far-flung British Empire. He was a genius in his line. What would work for him wouldn't necessarily work for you and me. In the long run, flattery will do you more harm than good. Flattery is counterfeit, and like counterfeit money, it will eventually get you into trouble if you pass it to someone else. The difference between appreciation and flattery, that is simple. One is sincere and the other insincere. One comes from the heart out, the other from the teeth out. One is selfish and one is unselfish. One is universally admired, the other universally condemned. I recently saw the burst of Mexican hero General Alvaro Obregón in the Caltepec place in Mexico City. Okay, guys, I'm getting a little I'm reading right now, but I've been reading for like 2 hours, so I gotta take a quick break. Give me a second. I got like 27 minutes. Sorry for going a little frozen. I'm gonna give myself like 30-minute break. How you guys doing? You're kidding, son? What are you talking about? Alfin Owley. What do you mean you're kidding? What's good? What's good? Say your name. I'm taking a little break. I've been reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm doing the Patrick Bet Davidson challenge. Why do you guys keep saying no, bro? I don't get it. What's good? What's good? Comment down. I would expect for you guys like to comment or say something, or you guys just like what you guys just like watching. I don't get it. Like, why you guys are not commenting. Watch a video then on YouTube. And then I got people saying no in the comments. Do you guys know why they keep saying that? Outwork everyone, out strategize everyone, outlast everyone, out improve everyone. Let's break this down actually. So, how can I outwork everyone? How can I outwork everyone? Okay, yeah. Five minutes, 2 hour timer. 30 minutes. Okay, how can I outwork everyone? Like, what is the formula to be able to outwork everyone? Like, and I want to be able to, like, every single day get better at outworking people and just get better in that department. How can I do that? So outworking isn't just doing more hours, it means doing the right work longer and harder than others. Being more consistent when they burn out. Improving while they repeat the same mistakes. What moves the needle the most right now? Use the work volume pyramid. So, like, if I had a formula to be able to outwork someone, what would be that formula? And to be able to outwork everyone? The outwork formula is time, intensity, consistency, and improvement. So how many focus hours you put in. So more hours equals more reps equals more mastery. Okay. Hours without focus equals wasted energy. Track your focus hours, not just busy hours. Intensity, how deep you focus and effort goes during these hours. No multitasking, no checking your phone, 100% in your zone. And the consistency, anyone can work hard once. The king is the king is the one who never stops. One day doesn't matter. 1,000 days does. Consistency multiplies everything else. It's your force multiplier. Improvement, don't just repeat, evolve. Each week, your system, speed, or understanding must level up. Outworking equals outlearning plus out adapting. So, okay, I can outlearn people. Let me see. At each week, your system, speed, or understanding must level up. Outworking equals outlearning plus out adapting. Distraction. Every distraction cuts the output of all the other factors. Eliminate distraction equals multiply power. Yeah. It's kind of like that. Like, in martial arts, Bruce Lee would say something. He says, if you have one punch and I focus on that punch, he says, training for it is good, but imagine training it for like 10,000 times instead of doing it like 100 times. Training it 10,000 times, that's what makes a skillful artist, and it can beat a lot more people. So that's what I'm kind of starting to see with, working. Put more. I'm not messing up my words right now. And my phone died. Okay. But the point is do more work. That's what I'm saying. So what's good? What's good? How you guys doing? We got like 20 minutes. What's good? What's good? Write your name in the comments. Right now, I'm waiting for my phone to charge, and then we're gonna continue reading. We're reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. You guys are not gonna say nothing? I don't understand. I need to understand what this live means. Okay, live. Live means it's live. Okay? You're still watching though, and you can be able to comment. understand is that this is YouTube, and the YouTube is about me and my life. Yeah, and things that you are doing. So just share what you're doing. If they like it, if they don't like it, cool. All you're doing is improving the quality. So about your life though. Do what you do. Beep bop, beep bop, beep bop, beep. Wow, that's a complete difference. Beep bop, beep. Alright, so something happened, took me out, but either way, was good, was good. Alright, the phone charged, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This. Alright. Okay. So one of the most neglected virtues of our daily existence is appreciation. Somehow we neglect to praise our son or daughter when he or she brings out a good report card, and we fail to encourage our children when they first succeed in baking a cake or building a birdhouse. Nothing pleases children more than this kind of parental interest and approval. Uh, Whatever. One of the most neglected virtue. The next time you enjoy fillet midgeon at the club, send word to the chief that it was excellently prepared. And when a tired salesperson shows you unusual courtesy, please mention it. Every minister, lecturer, and public speaker shows the discouragement of pouring himself or herself out to an audience and not receiving a single ripple of appreciative comment. What applies to professionals applies doubly to workers and officers, shops and factories, and our families and friends. In our interpersonal relationships, we should never forget that all our associates and are human beings in hunger for appreciation. It is the legal tender that all souls enjoy. Try leaving a friendly trail of little sparks of gratitude on your daily trips. You would be surprised how they would set small flames of friendship that will rouse beacons of your next visit. Pamela Dunman of New Fairfield, Connecticut, had among her responsibilities on her job the supervision of a janitor who was doing a very poor job. The other the other employees would jeer at him and litter the hallway to show him what a bad job he was doing. It was so bad productive time was being lost in the shop. Without success, Pam tried various ways to motivate the success. She noticed that occasionally he did a particular good piece of work. She made a point to praise him for it in front of the other people. Each day, the job he did all around got better, and pretty soon he started doing all his work efficiently. Now he does an excellent job, and other person give him appreciation and recognition. Honest appreciation gets results where criticism and ridiculer failed. Hurting people not only does not change them, it's never called for. There's an old saying that I have cut out and pasted on my mirror when I cannot help but see every day. I shall pass this way but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. A merchant said, "Every man I meet is my superior in some way, and that I learn of him." It was true of Emerson. Isn't it likely to be 1,000 times more true of you and me? Let's cease thinking of our accomplishments, our wants. Let's try to figure out the other person's good points. Then forget flattery. Give honest, sincere appreciation. Be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise. And people will cherish your words and treasure them and repeat them over a lifetime. Repeat them years after you have forgotten them. Principle 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. He who can do this has the whole world with him. He who cannot walks. I often went fishing up in Marine during the summer. Personally, I am very fond of strawberries and cream, but I found that for some strange reason, fish prefer worms. So when I went fishing, I didn't think about what I wanted. I didn't bait the hook with strawberries and cream. Rather, I dangled a worm or a grasshopper in front of the fish and said, "Wouldn't you like to have that?" Why not use the same wait, give me a second. That actually might not be a bad idea. That might not be bad. How much time do we have? We have 9 minutes left. That might not be bad, you know what I'm saying? Like, why not go live? Why not go live and just do the 100K a month through that? I might be with you for a little bit more while, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so I often went fishing up in Marine during the summer. Personally, I'm very fond of strawberries and cream, but I found that for some strange reason, fish prefer worms. So when I went fishing, I didn't think about what I wanted. I didn't bait the hook with strawberries and cream. Rather, I dangled a worm or a grasshopper in front of the fish and said, "Wouldn't you like to have that?" Why not use the same common sense when fishing for people? This is what Lord George, Great Britain Prime Minister during World War did. Then when someone asked him how he managed to stay in power after the other wartime leaders, Wilson, Orlando, and Claremont had been forgotten. He replied that it is his saying on top might be attributed to any one thing. It would be to his having learning that it was necessary bait the hook to suit the fish. Why talk about what we want? That is childish, absurd, of course. You are interested in what you want. You are internally interested in it, but no one else is. The rest of us are just like you. We're interested in what we want. So the only way on earth to influence other people is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. Remember that tomorrow when you are trying to get somebody to do something, if for an example you don't want your children to smoke, don't preach at them and don't talk about what you want. Let them, but show them that cigarettes may keep them from making the basketball team or winning the 100-yard dash. This is a good thing to remember regardless of whether you are dealing with children or calves or chimpanzees. For an example, one day Ralph Waldo Emerson and his son tried to get a calf into the barn, but they made the common mistake of thinking only of what they wanted. Emerson pushed and his son pulled, but the calf was doing just what they were doing. He was thinking only of what he wanted, so he stiffened his legs and stubbornly refused to leave the pasture. The Irish housemaid saw the predicament. She couldn't write essays and books, but on this occasion, at least, she had more horse sense, or calf sense, that Emerson said. She thought of what the calf wanted, so she put her material finger in the calf's mouth and let the calf suck her finger as she gently led her into the barn. Every act you have ever performed since the day you were born was performed because you wanted something. How about the time you gave a large contribution to the Red Cross? Yes, that is no exception to the rule. You gave the Red Cross the donation because you wanted to lend a helping hand. You wanted to do a beautiful, unselfish, divine act. Inasmuch as you have done into one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it into me. If you haven't wanted the feeling more than you wanted your money, you would not have made the contribution. Of course, you might have made the contribution because you were ashamed to refuse or because a customer asked you to do it, but one thing is certain. You made the contribution because you wanted something. Harry A. Oversee is an illustrating book influencer human behavior said, action springs out of what we fundamentally desire. And the best piece of advice which we can be given to would-be persuaders, whether in business, in the home, in the school, in politics, first arouse in the other person an eager want. He who can do this has the whole world with him. He who cannot walks a lonely way. Andrew Carnegie, the poverty-stricken Scotch land who wanted to work at 2 cents an hour and finally gave away $365 million, learned early in life that the only way to influence people is to talk in terms of what the other person wants. He attended school only 4 years, yet he learned how to handle people. To illustrate, his sister-in-law was worried sick over her 2 boys. They were at Yale, and they were so busy with their own affairs that they neglected to write home and pay no attention to whatever to their mother frantic letters. Then Carnegie offered a wager of $100 that he would get an answer by return mail. Without even before asking for it, someone called this bet. So he wrote his nephews a chattery letter, mentioning casually in a postscript that he was sending back each one a $5 bill. He neglected, however, to enclose the money. Back came replies by return mail thanking dear Uncle Andrew for his kind note, and you could finish the sentence yourself. Another example of persuading comes from Stan Novak of Cleveland, Ohio, a participant in our course. Stan came home from work one evening to find his younger son Tim kicking and screaming on the living room floor. He was to start kindergarten the next day and was protesting that he would not go. Stan's normal reaction would have been to banish the child to his room and tell him he better make up his mind to go. He had no choice. But tonight, recognizing that this would not really help Tim start kindergarten in the best frame of mind, Stan sat down and thought, if I were Tim, why would I be excited about going to kindergarten? He and his wife made a list of all the fun things that Tim would do, such as finger painting, singer songs, making new friends. Then they put them into action. We are all singing songs, making new friends. Then they put them into action. We're starting finger painting on the kitchen table. My wife, my other son, Bob, myself, and all having fun. Soon Tim was peeping around the corner. Next, he was begging to participate. Oh no, you have to go to kindergarten. First to learn how to finger paint with all the enthusiasm I could muster. I went through the list, talking in terms he could understand, telling him all the fun he would have in kindergarten. The next morning, I thought I was the first one up. I went downstairs and found Tim sitting sound asleep in the living room chair. What are you doing here? I asked. I'm waiting to go to kindergarten. I don't want to be late. The enthusiasm of our entire family has aroused in Tim an eager want that no amount of discussion or threat could have possibly accomplished. Tomorrow, you may want to persuade somebody to do something. Before you speak, pause and ask yourself, how can I make this person want to do it? The question will stop us from rushing into a situation heedlessly with futile chattery from about our desires. At one time, I rented the Grand Balloon, a certain New York hotel, for 20 years, 20 nights in each session in order to hold a series of lectures. At the beginning of one session, I was suddenly informed that I should have paid to almost 3 times as much rent as formerly. These news reached me after the tickets had been printed and distributed and all the announcements had been made. Naturally, I didn't want to pay the increase, but what was the use of talking to the hotel about what I wanted? They were only interested in what they wanted. So a couple days later, I went to see the manager. I was a bit shocked when I got your letter, I said, but I don't blame you at all. If I had been in your position, I should have probably have written a similar letter myself. Your duty as the manager of the hotel is to make all the profit possible. If you don't do that, you will be fired and you're out to be fired. Now let's take a piece of paper and write down the advantages and the disadvantages that will occur to you if you insist on this increase in rent. Then I took a letterhead and ran a line through the center and headed one column advantages and the other column disadvantages. I wrote down under the head advantages these words ballroom free. Then I went to say, you will have the advantage of having the ballroom free to rent for dances and conventions. That is a big advantage. For affairs like that would pay you much more than you can get for a series of lectures. If I tie your ballroom up for 20... Nah, bro, I gotta go to the restroom. All right. So right now, we just finished the 2 hours of reading. So by us finishing these 2 hours of reading, that's really, really good. Now we're gonna see what we got out from it. Bing bop, bing bop, bing bop, bing. Okay, so so based on reading, based on what I just read, what is the main thing I learned? Appreciation and give praise. So how and when can I apply giving appreciation and praise next time I see someone? Alright. I'm gonna see if I can get a mic. I think I do have a mic. But it's gonna go into the end next stream, so. Alright guys, thank you guys so much for watching. That's a 2-hour book. We're gonna end up focusing on doing that every day, because first it's gonna help us, but then I want to do the challenge of Patrick Bet Davidson. So with that being said, leave a like and subscribe. Join my community, Dream Life Forge. It's on School, SKOOL. Besides that, thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next